morning.
Happy
morning.
Monday. Welcome back to States.
I know it feels great to be back home. You don't realize that you miss a few little things when you're living out of a suitcase for a month. So putting on the sweatshirt again was a good sign. It was a good feeling. I felt really good. I was like, yes, we're back. We're back, baby.
I recognize some of those faces.
Yeah, pretty good looking guys, I think. No big deal.
But I want to shave myself, and then say, no, I can't because it doesn't match with the NFTs or with your hoodie. So
yeah, nobody would recognize us if you shaved.
No.
So, yeah. But good to be back. We had a killer first week. Well, not first week. We had a killer end of the quarter, and now this is season 4, episode 1, because it's a new quarter, obviously. So we do a new season every quarter there. So I'm excited, and we got a great guest joining us. What do you got, Ross? You look confused.
No, I was thinking, look more like we're gonna announce our earnings call or something because you mentioned about quarters. But let's skip our earnings call maybe for now.
Our earnings call, we're crushing it. We killed it.
But let's.
Just kidding, 7 maybe. I don't know. Anyways, going on to the next part. I want to reintroduce the show a little bit because I think we've had a lot of new listeners based off of like the analytics going into the back end of the audio stuff. And so reintroducing kind of the show concept and who we are, what we do. Nothing too crazy, just because we got a lot of new people. We want them to feel welcome and welcomed into the GMH.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. So I'm Will Slickers, obviously. Me and Michael Golden started this show. Well, we all started the show together, but Golden gave me the idea when he was a guest on Slick Talk. And so it was more of like, hey, we should start another podcast. Me thinking I didn't want to do another podcast because there's a lot of stuff that goes into doing a podcast. But ended up being a great idea. And so this show, we're really casual, focused on the industry news based on the last week and kind of what we've seen maybe in the news this week. As we wake up in the morning, we kind of switch topics depending on what happens. But yeah, it's pretty chill.
We are live. We don't have scripts, so anything can happen. And sometimes it does. So
as of last week is a good example if anyone saw our live show. So that is very true. But other than that, I think it's good to dive in. We do 2 segments every week. One is called What's with the Noise, where Michael Golden covers kind of industry topics or highlighted articles from the industry, whether it's hotels, short-term rentals, anything travel related. And then we have Startup of the Week, where Mr. Ross covers pretty much a unique and cool startup that's in hospitality and travel. Maybe they raised some capital, maybe they're creating a new product, whatever it may be. So those are the 2 segments, and I think we're ready to rock and roll. And I want to give Ross, the spotlight this morning. So, see what the startup is, and let's get rocking and rolling.
Yes, good morning. Well, normally I'm announcing often investments. Now it's an acquisition. Camber actually get acquired by Amadeus. So it's amazing what they have achieved. They were last year, or is it a few months ago, they were in the top 25 hot startups in FocusWire together with NoiseAware and other companies. They did actually a funding round. In 2021. So they closed 3 million. Actually, now they went to an acquisition with Amadeus. What I understood is that Amadeus already have their own revenue management software solution. The same with Camber is. So they're going to just actually add it to Altea, the current solution of Amadeus. So pretty impressive that the guys, I think officially a Dutch company as well, that they actually get acquired by a large corporate like Amadeus. So well done. And I think this is not the only one you saw. You saw as well that in last year, September, there was another acquisition actually in the same space. So XCheck and FedDirect actually bought another company, Flyer Lab. So you see more consolidation there already in the revenue management software solutions for the airlines. So guys of Camber, well done.
Another busy week on the M&A and funding side. So we saw a few startups get funded last week: Touch, Stay, Glimpse, and there was one other. And then we also saw Home to Go acquire their second company in the past 3 months. So Home to Go is on a spending spree. They're seeming to be rolling up a lot of their smaller competitors locally or regionally. And this is a strategy we've seen HomeAway do very successfully. HomeAway is, of course, now Vrbo. So well done, Home to Go and the team. Our streak of acquisitions is now at 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So really cool to see. And hopefully it keeps up. That trend is one that I think we all agree the industry needs.
Totally agree. And, it's just another reminder to maybe new audience members that we predict the future on the show as well, because that was our biggest prediction of the year, was not only more capital coming into the space, but a lot of roll-ups and acquisitions. So, no, you're welcome. We're just kind of, future seers over here. But before we get to the highlight of this episode, which I'm really excited about because Brandy Canaley is a great friend out in Miami, who's joining us today to kind of cover the behind the scenes and kind of her journey with Sextant Stays. But before we move on, we want to give a quick shout out to one of our show sponsors. They've been supporting us the last, I would say, quite a few months. I would say last maybe 6, 7, maybe 8 months. And they're just great people over there. So we're going to give Breezeway a quick shout out. Once Breezeway is the ad is done there, we're going to bring Brandy onto the show. And so I'm really excited. So here we go.
Meet Breezeway, the leading platform for property care and cleaning operations. Built to coordinate, communicate, and verify all the work done at each property so you can deliver a better experience to guests and owners. Breezeway syncs your property data and reservations into one user-friendly dashboard, taking the guesswork out of scheduling jobs to the right person at the right time. Teams in the field use mobile checklists to get their work done, letting you monitor issues and progress in real time, giving you confidence that every job is done right and every property is clean, well-maintained, and ready. Smart tools to make complex work much easier. Best of all, Breezeway integrates with dozens of PMS systems and IoT devices, so you can optimize your property service programs without switching the systems you already use. Nice. Breezeway has an entire messaging platform too, for texting automated service updates, communicating with guests and residents, and offering additional services like extended stays. Delivering quality property care and service is challenging. Breezeway has you covered each step of the way with tools like detailed owner reporting, safety inspections, and inventory tracking. You'll drive more service revenue, save thousands on operation costs, and boost client satisfaction. It's time to power your property care with Breezeway. Go to breezeway.io to learn more.
There we go. I'm on mute. We got to call them and tell them to put GMH at the end, breezeway.io/GMH. That's our code. But anyways, thank you, Breezeway, for supporting the show. And we are super excited because for the grand finale, we're going to welcome Miss Brandy Canaley. What? Here.
Nice rhyme there, Will.
Yeah. I guess stick with it. Just had to give Brandy the special welcome. So how are you doing, Brandy?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. Yeah, it's like Sextant is a big highlight within the Hospitality FM sphere because we had you and Andreas on Slick Talk. Now we get to have you on Good Morning Hospitality. So I guess we kind of like you guys a little bit.
Oh, good. We like you too.
Cool.
Well, to continue the intro here, Brandy is one of Forbes 30 under 30. So huge congrats there. It is not an easy thing to accomplish. It is huge. We're all very excited for you, Brandy.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's a big honor, and I think it also highlights our whole industry. So it's great to bring attention to that.
Love
Impressive.
it. Well,
so tell us, Brandy, how this whole thing got started.
The whole thing, the whole Sextant thing.
the whole company. I know you were right there, integral
Yeah.
from the early days. So tell us kind of how how you took it from 0 to 1, and then obviously where you guys are today. We can fast forward a few steps.
Sure. So yeah, Andreas, our CEO, started the company. He had one property that he rented out, I think, for New Year's 1 year and made, well more than his mortgage payment on the reservation. So he started with a couple of properties, and he's actually married to my cousin. And I was finishing grad school and didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. So my initial plan was just to come to Miami for a year and help him out. Living in Miami didn't sound like the worst thing. And yeah, then I never left. So that was how how I got started. And I think the first year or so, it was very slow growth. There was only a couple of us, 5 or 6 of us, really hustling, working very hard, wearing many hats. And we just over the first couple of years slowly built. We were in single family homes more in Miami, and then started to get into the full building residences, which is, the model now. And then, I always feel kind of guilty saying this, but one of the best things that's happened to us was COVID, because, some of our competitors shuttered and we were able to grow dramatically. In 2020, we grew 650%. In total, we've grown 800%. So
Wow.
it was rapid growth. It was certainly a learning exercise.
So you guys bootstrapped few employees for a year or two. When did you guys realize that this could actually be a business and more than just a hobby?
Sure. So, I think Andreas is one thing, it's been really great working with him is he has the grand vision for all of this. And so even though we had a little bit of a slower start, it was intentional. It was building towards, something bigger. And I think one of the things we really pride ourselves on is being, not just growing for the sake of growing. So making sure that the company is actually sustainable along the way. And, from the beginning, we realized that we wanted to have everything in-house. So over a course of a couple of years, we've transitioned all of our maintenance and housekeeping, all of that in-house, all of our customer service. And so those things, take time and resources. And I think that, just being like sticking true to that vision has been essential for keeping us on the right path.
Because I see as well that you're just focusing on 3 cities so far, right? This is also the goal of be strong in 3 cities or a few cities only and be strong there, instead of you see other competition growing as much as possible to as much cities as possible with a smaller inventory.
Exactly. And it's going a mile deep instead of a mile wide. So focusing heavily on South Florida and New Orleans and building up the operations there. And then we'll be expanding into a few other cities in the coming months, but we're, replicating that model, because if you have to have a city manager, you have to have a team, all of that, you need that, whether you have 1 building or you have 6. So it makes sense to try to, get as much as you can out of these markets before moving on somewhere else.
It has to be pretty tempting, though. I'm sure you have developers come to you from all over the country. It has to be pretty tempting when they want you to manage their building. And
Yeah, I think it obviously you see those kind of things and it can be tempting, but we have a pretty clear plan of the types of cities that we want to go into, and then also the types of buildings and the types of landlords. And we have, refined this vision for the company over the last year, and we're actually finding that we're being approached by people that really fit in with, our plan. And we have these, really strong partnerships now, which, is obviously great. They bring further connections, and there's a surprising amount of fun inventory in South Florida and New Orleans. So I'm excited for you guys to see maybe some of the projects we're working on in the coming months.
nice. Fast forward 5 years.
Mhm.
What's the company look like?
Yeah, now, so we went from, 3 of us hustling out of Andreas's dining room table, and now we have almost 300 employees, obviously based in our, core markets, South Florida, New Orleans. We actually have a pretty sizable staff in Spokane, Washington. We have a lot of phenomenal Stay Alfred alums that have joined us. And then we have almost 90 people in the Philippines. And we're actually going over to visit them in a couple weeks, which is going to be really
Nice.
fun.
That's super exciting.
Um, yeah, and so that's been I think one of the greatest opportunities of, like, certainly in my lifetime thus far has been this ability to grow the company and really, there's no roadmap, there's no one telling you how to grow a company like this. So it's been an extraordinary and rewarding challenge, I would say.
Because you're COO, there's only one step further, which well, is CEO. Do you ever see taking this role? I don't know if you're
No,
this.
well, at least
Work out, Andreas.
not
Work
at
No,
out.
all.
no, I'm curious. I'm curious because
No.
I started a company. I started as CEO in here for 1 year. But I just became back CEO and just went back into CEO of Bidroom. But it is completely differently, right? But the other hand, it's like, well, I think the CEO is, well, I don't say more busy, but it's completely different kind of responsibilities, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't have necessarily this like crazy entrepreneurial drive. I mean, to a certain extent, yes, but I really like being the one that puts the vision into action and coordinating all of that. Like that's, integrating all the different components of the business is, I think, where I really thrive. And so, obviously always looking to improve and move up in the world, but I'm not gunning for Andreas's job right now.
I don't want to ruin your relationship. I'm just curious how you see this, but so.
Good,
Well,
good answer. He's on speakerphone right now.
Well, that's always a really good, like, I'm always curious on people's strengths, kind of like where do you see yourself kind of fitting in the best spot. And so my kind of custom question for you, I would say, is what would you say your strengths are from when you jumped into the beginning of the business to where you are now? And I'm kind of curious if it changed throughout your career growing with the company, or has it always been a consistent strength that you've had?
Yeah, well, I think, just when you start, when you're the second employee wearing many hats, and, I've done everything. I did our accounting for 3.5 years. I ran all of our distribution, marketing, government relations, et cetera. There's very few parts of the business that I haven't touched. And so now that those hats have become their own departments, I think what's been really helpful is that I understand all of these different components of the business and I understand how they work together. And so now as a COO, I can help the people in those departments work together. I can see how, everything kind of fits together. And, one of our company core values is being adaptable. And I think that's certainly one of my best qualities or biggest strengths because you kind of have to be. There's no choice when you're starting a business like this. So yeah, and I would say that that's just grown over time. I've certainly adapted. I would say the COO role is hard.
But is there something in the last? Is it a little bit more than 5 years, right? If I'm correct, working at Sextant, is there something like this makes me so proud when I look back at my past 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, just the company as a whole, I'm so proud of. I'm really proud of the way we came through COVID. During those, especially those first couple weeks, it was scary for a lot of people. And we didn't lay off any employees. We paid out quarterly bonuses and really kept the team together. And then that kind of treatment of like how we treat our staff, how we work together as a team is probably one of the things I'm most proud of. We have people that are incredibly loyal to the company because we really treat everyone very well. And we try to make sure that everyone feels like they have real ownership and like a stake in the company and our success. So I would say that's definitely one of the things I'm the most proud of over the last 5 years.
What do you think? What we often have the discussion here. I come more from the hotel space. Well, Mike, of course, and Will as well, more from the vacation rental space. Well, you as well. What do you think that hotels can learn from vacation rental and opposite?
Well, I think we're starting to see more and more of these industries combine and overlap. And I think that hotels, it seemed for a while, were very, very resistant to any sort of change. And so, and I get it, the legacy product, why change something that's been working? But I think that hotels could learn to be a little bit more adaptable. And from vacation rentals, in short-term rentals, being operationally a bit more efficient. I think hotels have become these great machines where everything is, well, it seems like everything's working very well. And with vacation rentals, I think now we're seeing the professionalization and standardization that hotels have, and I think that that's really important.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because I came from the hotel side originally, and then really shifted into vacation rentals and short-term rentals. And that was the biggest thing, was I wouldn't say unprofessionalism. It's just more like the standardization of operations and quality control and communication and marketing and, all the stuff that go in between. So it's really cool to see that you guys are kind of being the hybrid. You're really taking that in a big
on that, Brandy, would you consider yourself a hotel company or a short-term rental company?
Yeah, an apart hotel
Put yourself
company.
in a box.
Yeah, and well, isn't that just like the most, I think that's frustrating when we go and you try to, especially if you're trying to explain this business to someone who's not familiar. And because I mean, we do, full building residences, it is a hotel. That's basically apartments. So, it's trying to figure out, I can't really stand the phrase or the word apart hotel. It's not very sexy.
It's
So if
very
anyone else,
Miami. It's
very,
very
yeah.
Miami.
And so I think, the I don't know, politically correct way of me saying we're both. I can't really put us in a box right now. But I think we are becoming more like a hotel just because of the nature of physically of the buildings. But we get hotel licenses a lot of times, and that's just because it's easier from a regulatory perspective and a tax perspective. So the lines are blurring for sure.
Well, on that, do you see the exit in 2, 5, 10 years to a hotel brand, to another short-term rental operator? Do you ever plan to exit? What's the...
I always think that's an interesting question because, it's kind of like, how are you going to get out of the business that you're in currently? And so I think, the end goal would be for Sextant to have, different verticals that we're in, potentially getting into, long-term residential. We're experimenting with mid-term rental buildings and things like that. So I see us having multiple arms of the business. And, the exit it's not something I like to think about. Honestly, it makes me a little sad. But yes, I'm sure, the big goal is to, go public at some point. So, but that's probably several years off at this point.
Yeah. Something to look forward to for sure.
Exactly.
I have one more question for you. From an operations perspective, why do you think there's fewer companies like Sextant at the scale that you guys are currently at? So more or less, like, there's still competition. Obviously, you're not going to be a lone wolf. But why do you think there's so few operators kind of going at the scale that you guys are?
It's difficult. And, first of all, getting inventory. Right now, we've built up a good track record. So those conversations with landlords or developers, it's easier because you can say, hey, look, we're doing this well, and here are all the examples. But I think getting into it requires a lot of capital, whether you're doing, even if you're doing, a management agreement and you're not paying a huge rent, it's still expensive. You still have to figure out how to, furnish it, hire for all of that. So I think that the cost is probably prohibitive, unless you're getting, outside, serious investment. And I think regulations and supply. So, and a lot of these markets where you want to be, Miami is a great example. Rents have skyrocketed here in the last couple of years. So anywhere where you have housing issues and increased rents and things like that, I think it's going to be harder to get product. So that's what I would say, is just those barriers are, prohibitive.
You touched on a few things, but what do you think the single biggest threat to your business, and then more broadly to, I guess we'll call you short-term rentals.
Yeah.
We'll stay away from hotels.
I think, well, I think the regulations are a big threat, especially because you have just a miseducation, I think, in a lot of communities, and you're seeing a lot of knee-jerk reactions to things instead of, thoughtful, creative problem solving. And, in Florida, there's been, kind of a backlash against short-term rentals when that is an economy, an industry that contributes billions of dollars to the state economy every year. And so I think that, and I don't know how we do this better as an industry, but just a re-education for everyone to show how beneficial this industry is and how it's very similar to hotels. It's just a different type of building. So there shouldn't be this kind of animosity that I think brews in some communities. So hopefully we can, work with agencies to kind of show the benefits. I mean, the tax dollars alone should be incentive enough.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are you guys doing anything as a company to kind of get in that forefront of the education and regulatory issues, or are you more or less like just leading as an example, right? I think that's
Yeah, and that is something I've thought about recently, is that we probably could be doing a little bit more to be, involved in that kind of community engagement. The reality is just like bandwidth, where we have a lot of employees, it seems, but our kind of like administrative and office staff is very lean. So
Mhm.
it is something that I think we should be, talking about more, but then also leading by example, trying to be good community partners, especially, in New Orleans. We tried to be really active after Hurricane Ida and helping, as we could there. So I think doing things like that will show that, we're not the bad guys that people that might think us to be.
Yeah, the party penthouses that everyone thinks it is when it comes to any
Yeah.
type. Everyone just automatically assumes Airbnb, and they automatically assume a party
The
or
only
something.
Sextants I've stayed in have been party penthouses for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not the only supply that Sexton has. So
No,
just to be
but
clear.
and I think that's one of the reasons why we love having these full buildings, is that there are the party penthouses maybe on the top, but we have, overnight security, we have noise aware, we have, all these tools that we're using to control the experience in the building. And that way, we're not bothering a family that lives on, the fourth floor and there's a whole group of people here for ultra, So
Mhm.
that's definitely something that we're working on. And we've been in some of these buildings for many, many years. And I think over time, you just prove that you're pleasant to work with and that you're taking good care of the community that you're in.
100%. I love that.
All right. So Brandy, we always do a rapid fire with guests. So who knows what the questions are? A lot of times we just make them up.
Okay, let's do it.
So I'll go first with a not made up question. What's harder? What's a harder phase of the business? 1 to 10, 10 to 100, or 100 to 200?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good question. Hard for different reasons. The 1 to 10 is hard because you are doing absolutely everything and working, 14-hour days just to keep the business going. And then once you get much larger, it's harder because there's more repercussions, there's consequences, bigger consequences to the things that you're doing. So harder for different reasons.
Fair enough.
Makes sense.
Beer, wine, or cocktail?
Oh, big into wine, but I love gin. So
Okay. Dinner out or cook in?
cook in for sure.
Nice.
You've had the opportunity to attend one of my dinner parties, so it's my form of my art form, my creative outlet.
Yeah. So to all the listeners, aside from being a Forbes 30 under 30, Brandy also has a little side hustle where she's got a pop-up restaurant kind of experience. Was it Brandy Wine Experience?
Brandy Wine Experiments.
Experiment. Yep.
Yeah.
So
You're
she's
right, Michael.
well known within the Miami circles when she announces a pop-up.
Yeah, it's fun. I have to do another one soon. It's been a while.
I love it. Yeah, is that your rapid fire question? That's it?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So I've got a few. Madrid or Miami?
Madrid.
Okay. Paella or sangria?
Ooh, sangria.
Okay. Today or mañana?
Mañana.
Okay. Last one, people or tech? Technology?
Okay.
Okay.
People are tech.
People are tech.
Oh, tech. I thought you said T.
Tech.
Sorry.
Oh no, people are
People are
tech.
tech.
Technology.
People.
Okay.
All right,
Good.
cool. iPhone or Android?
Oh, iPhone.
Favorite music genre?
House.
House? Okay.
Hmm.
If you could pick any animal to represent you, what animal would it be?
Polar bear.
And if you were to be a digital nomad, where would you go?
Madrid. I really need to figure out a way to get back there.
So I think we're hearing the first international market of Sextant will be likely in Madrid.
Yes, we've floated it, and I'm like, I volunteer. I'll go. I'll do it.
Someone's got to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll make a sacrifice.
yeah, it's, pop-ups in Madrid plus setting up shop, it's totally, someone needs to do it.
Someone needs to do it.
Yes, I love it. So we have one last segment before we close the show, and is called Whose Brand Is It Anyways, where we like to cover a hotel brand that's usually under the bigger flag. So Marriott, Hilton, I think Best Western, IHG, the 6 big ones, right? Golden, what are
Hyatt. Yeah.
Hyatt. So we grab a random soft brand under one of those, and the point of the game is to guess what big brand it is. So if you're ready to rock and roll, we're gonna do Whose Brand Is It Anyways? And the brand of the week is Pro T Hotels.
Oh, wow.
Give it to you one more time. So we'll
Brandy,
let
you guess first.
I was gonna say we'll let the Michaels go first, but Brandy,
Can Michael
ladies
go
first.
first?
Ladies first.
I have absolutely no idea. I can't even begin to think. It's not.
It can't be IHG because Ross doesn't look too confident right now.
No, I will go for Best Western if I have to
I made
pick one.
sure to stay away from IHG this week because I was tired of Ross winning.
That's why I go for Best Western then. I don't know.
It's not a Marriott brand. Yeah, I have.
Are you
I've never
confident
even. Now I'm not confident.
No one knows the answer except for me, unless they're cheating.
I'm going to guess the core.
Accor, okay, that's one.
Best Western.
Ross, Best Western, Randy, final answer.
Just go with Hilton just throw that out there.
All right. Well, none of you are right. It was a Marriott. So
Ah.
I was
Nice.
like, man, I have to get one at least that we all would kind of guess, but wouldn't look like it was.
Yeah, it does not look like a Marriott brand.
Yeah. Anyways, now you know. So
I know.
there's a fun fact for you of the day. But Brandy, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been really cool to dive in with your story and kind of just seeing how your mind works with the whole company and the industry. It's really fun and fascinating. So I just want to say thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's so much fun.
Of course.
You're the first 30 under 30 I've ever spoken to. So
Oh, wow.
pretty exciting. Pretty exciting.
Can we get your autograph
Don't get too
afterwards?
starstruck.
Can you make an NFT so we can have the only copy and just become really famous for it?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You belong in Miami. It's NFT week right now.
I can't wait. Maybe I'll just do
Get
a
down
pop.
there, Will.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Brandy. And thank you to all our listeners who have joined in. And we'll see you all again next week.